Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, everything that I say in reaction to these shows is completely speculative based on very little information that the show shows us. So keep that in mind. Let's watch.
Really excited to see what you can get for this price range. I'm looking for a nice place at a reasonable cost. A one bedroom would be fine. I'd accept animals. I would like to be able to find something that's like $500 a month or less. That would be perfect for me.
Oh my goodness. Is there anything in Seattle that's worth that is $500? I don't know about Vegas, but I feel like Vegas wouldn't be that cheap. On Zillow, the cheapest is $581, which is in a hotel. And then here's one for $650 that is 118 square feet, 11 feet by 11 feet. I don't know, hopefully Las Vegas is different.
And then outside, and let me tell you, it's rotten inside. So let tell you how bad it is outside. What is the rent on this one?
This one is $725.
Wow.
I'm not ever moved nowadays. You stuck with me for a lifetime.
So I don't know what her finances are like. She doesn't work. She's retired. I think she gets money by being on 90 Day Fiancé, does she not? But I'm sure she's thinking long term that probably isn't going to last. So, yeah, I wonder what her finances are like. Maybe Colt will have to help with that.
$750 doesn't go very far anymore.
I'm not going to live in a place that I don't feel comfortable. I'm definitely not. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's a house with, I'm in an apartment with a roof over. It's just not for me.
Okay, so Colt wants her to not live with him. And at this point, he's bringing her to a place, and it costs $750 a month, and it's not a good place, according to them. And she's pushing back. She's like, I don't want to live here. And the passive statement there is, I don't want you to kick me out because I can't afford it, and I don't want to live in this dump. And you wouldn't do this to me, right, son? And so Colt is now put in a position where he has to assert himself. I don't know what the finances are like. Maybe she can afford it, but maybe she could live here, but she just doesn't want to because she's trying to passively make sure that she always lives with Colt or something. I want to point out that it's totally normal emotionally for someone in her position to not want to move out from Colt and Vanessa. It's totally normal that she doesn't want to live alone, that she's starting to branch out, but she hasn't really. And her main support system, her main entertainment, her main closeness is with Colt and Vanessa. She's pretty close to Vanessa as well. So it's totally normal. But what's fair? Is it fair that she imposed that and emotionally blackmail Colt in this way? So let's see how Colt manages this conversation.
I wouldn't put you in a place like this. I love you.
Put me in a place like this? You're not going to put me any place.
Well, you seem to think that...
It's my choice, and I don't need anybody putting me anywhere.
What would you like to see happen?
I mean, what are your plans? What have you talked about?
So Debbie's still kind of operating from an undifferentiated place. I think she's panicking a little bit. Colt's doing really well, I will say. There's a lot of things he could be saying that would derail this conversation. So he's like, look, I love you. I don't want to make you do anything you don't want to do. And he's just, starting off with that. And then he's like, okay, well, what do you want? What do you want? I think that's a great question. If I was the therapist in the room, that would be one of the first things. Debbie, what do you want? Because I think Debbie does want to live on her own. I think she does want Colt to have his own place. But emotionally, I think it's really hard for her. So acknowledging that, like, I know you want this, but it's scary, then we can kind of be on the same side while we work on her emotions. Whereas if you're assuming, it's very easy to assume, as she started pushing back on moving out, it's very easy to assume that she doesn't want to move out and that she's resisting, and 100% of her is on that side. Usually people aren't like that. So it's good to ally with the part that you do agree with someone. Whenever you're in an argument with someone, always try to find that thing that you can agree on. Because often, especially in family and couple relationships, you agree about most of the things. It's just these little differences that are rubbing each other wrong. So it's really good to return to like, okay, we're on the same team. We agree on these things. We both want these things. We're just disagreeing about exactly what to do about the final 10% here. And it can feel much better. It can calm people down. Whereas if you focus on the differences, it looks like you're completely 100% on different teams.
Because I was already married once and it didn't work out in that house. It's been the same for too long. I just feel like it has to grow, it has to change.
Okay, well, then we'll just take some time and keep looking and put some feelers out and start looking online. And we have a couple of months, so yeah.
Okay, so Colt, I think, is being extremely diplomatic. I think he probably should be a little bit more straight. He's saying, I think things should change. I think things should grow. I think what he's saying is, I just don't want to live with you anymore, Mom. I love you, and I still want to hang out with you, but I just don't want to live with you all the time. I'm with Vanessa now. Kind of is a thorn in our side that you're around. We love you, and but to be in a comfortable couple relationship that we want to be in, we kind of want to have our own home, and you can visit and we'll visit you, but we want our own space. I don't think maybe she kind of understands that, but he's not saying those things. And then Debbie's like, oh, okay, well, let's keep looking. So I don't know. I would hope that they would have more of a conversation around this, because what if they keep looking and because I'm guessing that Debbie is going to have to compromise. And this often happens in situations like this, that unless you're just moneybags, Ms. Moneybags, then you're probably looking at an apartment that isn't up to your standards. It's in a neighborhood you don't like, or it's dirty, or it doesn't have the amenity. You're going to take a down step. And if she's not willing to make that compromise, then she's probably never going to fully agree to moving out, unless Colt is just like, look, Mom, you're just going to have to do this. I don't know anywhere to tell you. I gave you the 3 months. Maybe I'll give you another couple of months, but this is going to happen. And I'm really sorry. I love you. I don't know what's going on I don't know. Do you want to talk about it or something? But I feel like I'm being reasonable by saying, I, as a 30-something-year-old man married to Vanessa, that I want to live with her alone. We don't want to live with you anymore. We love you. And I feel like you're emotionally making me feel like I'm a bad person for saying that, I feel like you could make it work. You could make it work in this place if you really wanted to, but you're just choosing not to because you're resisting moving out, which I just don't think is very fair to me. Do you care about my feelings? I understand that you're afraid. I understand that you're worried about being alone. And I wish you well on getting your own friends, and I'm pretty sure if you put your mind to it, you'll get there. I don't know. It's a hard conversation to have.
See what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel very odd right now, to be honest with you. I feel guilty, and at the same time, I want to be selfish. But looking around right now, seeing what my mom's options are for her living by herself, it's not very good.
Okay, so good for him. He's like, I feel guilty. I think most caring people in his position would feel a little guilt. And then he frames it as selfish. That's interesting. Is he just using that word like, self-oriented or something, or trying to get his needs met? Or does he really believe that it's selfish in a bad way, that it's him being overly concerned with himself, and the fact that as a 30-something-year-old man with his wife, they just don't want to live with their mom? I wonder if he has that internalized voice from his mom, which we could absolutely imagine happening over time, right? That given, and I didn't see this coming, but a few episodes ago when Debbie was really upset and said, "You're treating me like crap. I can't believe this amount of crap. 3 months isn't enough time." And I'm like, 3 months is more than enough time. Like, how much time does it take to look for a place and decide? Like, you don't need years to find an apartment. So we could imagine that before the show was even on, before they were even on the show, that there might have been moments where he had thoughts about moving out or her moving out or something, and she came down on him. we could imagine that. So we could imagine that he has, and I could also imagine him not having much of a social life, and that it was him and Debbie alone a lot. And you just have that internalized voice. You become kind of brainwashed in that perspective of him wanting to live on his own is selfish and isn't good behavior.
Hi. Jay is currently unavailable. Please speak clearly. Your voicemail is being transcribed by YouMail.
Should I leave a message? Where the fuck are you? We have a date. Thank you very much.
All right, so I don't know if you know the situation, but she's supposed to go on her second date with this fella, and it's a half an hour from the time he's supposed to pick her up, and he's late, and he hasn't contacted her, and so she called him, left a voicemail, and said, "Where the F are you?" in this aggressive way. I was hoping she was joking, and she's like, "Just joking, just checking it," but she seems like she's okay with this tone of voice. So what would be the purpose of this? Is this, what if if he is just being a jerk face, then I guess maybe he deserves it. But if he's just late or confused or got in a car accident, like, why would you, until you had information, why would you be this aggressive? Now, I think she has a lot of insecurities, as most people do. I mean, dating is rough on the ego, and I think she has a lot of insecurities that compound that. So it makes sense that she feels hurt and she's angry, but to jump to conclusions, you want to be differentiated. You want to think like, is this what's best for me? Because what if he does have a flat tire? What if he had a medical emergency? What if he's lost? Or what if he got in a car accident? What if he got pulled over by the police or something? Whatever, for a traffic violation. And then he shows up, and then there's that voicemail that's out there. Is that really going to serve me, for me to yell at him and for him to go, wow, I was like in a legit emergency and you're yelling at me? Like, why would you do that? So now maybe he's standing her up and he deserves it, but let's watch.
I never realized what the expression ghosting was until now. And I don't know if this is how people treat each other now dating in today's life.
So I don't know the stats. I don't know if we have them, but people have ghosted each other for a long time, for decades. So ghosting isn't new. Hookup culture isn't even particularly new. If anything, statistics are showing that younger people today are waiting longer to have sex, and they're having sex less often, actually. So this whole narrative of like, everyone's just hooking up and having sex, a bunch of sluts, the kids today, and it's just like, actually the trends are in the opposite direction. It'd be fine if they were sluts. It's okay to be a slut. An ethical a slut, a person who is doing things consensually with people, and you want to do those. Anyway, so we don't have to judge them, of course. But anyway, so about ghosting, it appears maybe she's being ghosted. It's hard to know until we know, but yeah, it's not okay. And it is somewhat normal. Best case scenario, what you do is, and I've talked about this before, because no matter what option we go with the fella, I think his name is Robert, I'm not sure, were to say, yeah, sorry, I want to cancel our second date. I'm sorry, I'm just not into it. I wish you the best, that sort of thing. There's no easy way to do that. There's no way to do that so that the Debbies of the world aren't angry and hurt. Do you meet them in person and say, hey, sorry, I'm just not into it. I'm just not feeling it. There's no chemistry there. Do you call them and say, hey, just want to cancel the date. I'm sorry. I thought I might want to go on the date, but the more I thought about it, I said, I should probably just not do that because I just don't feel the chemistry. You seem like a great person. Do you do it over texting? Do you shoot a text and say, hey, sorry, I just want to cancel our date. Had a lovely time, but I just don't feel any chemistry there. Which one do you go with? Because if you text, people will be like, oh my God, he texted me. But if you meet in person, they'll be like, oh my God, he like met me in person and humiliated me in person. Or you call, it's like, oh my God, he didn't even have the guts to meet with me in person and tell me to my face. Like there's no way to win really. So we're always trying to predict what's the least amount of pain and anger that you're going to provoke in the other person. But there's going to be some pain and some anger. You just can't avoid that. Now, some people will just completely ghost, which is usually not advised, especially at this stage where she gets all ready. She's ready to be picked up. So why do people do that? Well, because they're terrified of rejection. And I've said this before, it's weird that as we are rejecting someone, we are terrified of rejection, which sounds paradoxical. It's like, well, we're the one rejecting. The fella, I think, Robert is his name, I can't remember. The guy is rejecting her, doesn't want to go on another date with her. Dogs are barking. But he is possibly afraid of being rejected if he tells her in person. If he meets with her in person, calls her on the phone, sorry, I don't want to go on a date. He's worried that she's going to go, well, I hate you, you're a big jerk face. It's another form of rejection, right? And we tend to avoid pain. It's painful to be rejected, even if we're the one rejecting the other person. So it's easier to just avoid the whole thing. Kicks the can down the road. But of course, it's unfair to the other people.
I don't deserve it. It's not right. It makes me feel like I'm not worth the effort to type 5 seconds typing something, like something, something else bitter came up, but I'm not going to have the courtesy to tell you. Like, it doesn't matter, No, I'm not going to bother with you.
Right, that's the normal conclusion, but not the normal reality. The reality is he was probably terrified. He didn't seem like the most, I think he even said so, socially able person, a smooth person, if you will, confident person. I think he said the opposite. At least he didn't come across that way. I think what he's doing is he's just terrified. He's just like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it, or I don't know. And he could even be like, she's too good for me. I mean, there's so many things that can get in the way of someone going on a second date. It's typically not this narrative, which is a childish narrative that a lot of people have. They're just like, oh, he thinks he's too good for me. He's some sort of malignant narcissist who's gaslighting me, and he's trying to love bomb. and there he is at home, just Netflixing and chilling with some other floozy. That's I don't know where we get these stories, but they're typically not true. It's possible, but it's not typically what's happening. I'm guessing what's happening is he's sitting at home and he's just like sitting in shame, going like, I should text her. What do I do? Oh my God. And then he's just like, oh, screw it. I'll just drink, or I'll just play video games, or I'll just watch a football game, and whatever it is that he's doing to avoid.
Reason for it? I know I didn't do anything wrong, but second rate and trashy. That's how I feel. Have a good night, you guys.
We love you.
Thank you, guys. I love you.
So it was nice that Colt and Vanessa offered to spend time with her, go out. And she's sad, and she says she feels second rate and trashy. And I've worked with couples, I've worked with individuals as they go through this, and it's a common conclusion. I've talked about this before, specifically with Debbie, that people's egos will just be shredded in the experience. And I'll say, look, it's a numbers game, is often what I will say. If you're in it to win it, and you really want to meet someone who is compatible with you, that you like. So you have to find someone that's compatible with you in all the various different ways, like often age, life stage, what kind of things you're looking for in life, that kind of thing. You have to live in the same town, hopefully. This show completely throws that out of the water, but it's useful to live in the same town, have the same plans for the future, and you like them and they like you. You're attracted to them, they're attracted to you. You like talking to them, they like talking to you. You like spending time with them, they like spending time with you. You have good time in bed together, they like having good time in bed. Like, there's a lot of boxes that have to be checked. And it's hard to check all those fundamental boxes, depending on the sort of thing you're looking for. And it's a numbers game. If you randomly choose a bunch of swipe righties, then the percentage chance that person, just because you swiped right and they swiped right on you, is it right or is it left? I think it's right? That the chance that you're both going to have all those things towards each other is very small. You might check some of the boxes, but the chance that... So to find the right one, you have to, now there's a chance. An analogy is you're blindfolded and you're throwing a dart at a dartboard. Every once in a while, you're going to hit a bullseye or close to the bullseye. But there's a percentage chance. But the chance of doing it on that first try is slim. You might do it on the first try. You might blindfold and just hit the bullseye. But for most people, they're going to have to throw 30, 40, 50 darts, maybe 500 darts at the board before they hit the bullseye. That's what dating is like. And you have to understand that before you go into it. To throw 2 or 3 darts at the board blindfolded and not hit the bullseye and say there's something wrong with me isn't rational. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.